to see so many people here. Okay. Basically, this is a talk I'm going to hold at the EuroSTAR conference. Title is Alternative Paths for Self-Education in Software Testing. You see my blog and also my Twitter handle there. The key driving idea is software testing. I don't know what others think about it, but during university courses I was never introduced into software testing. Maybe I wouldn't have attended those courses, of course, but after I left university, I basically had to teach most of software testing to myself, because the first training I got for software testing was 1.5 years after I started my first job, and in the meantime I had to do some work. Okay. So what is this all about? We're not going to talk about courses offered by organizations for making money or for certifications. We're talking mostly about how can a software tester educate himself, and I found basically two paths there. This is the hypothetical and the synthesis part. Basically, there are many books on software testing available which you can buy, of course, given you have the money. This belongs more in the hypothetical part of self-education. You can read a book and try to learn and try to immediately do what is said there and make some own experiences and see where the testing ideas apply. Next thing would be the rapid software testing course. It's not a course, it's here on the hypothesis side, because the course material from James Mark and Michael Bolton is completely available online. So you can basically, you don't get the benefits of attending the real class, of course, but you can download the slides and read through them. You can also download the lecture notes from the original authors, and you can basically then work through the materials there on your own. On the same side is the black box software testing course from James Mark and Cam Kainer. Cam Kainer not only provided the slides there on the web for the black box software testing course, but also videos where he explains what he teaches, and also some videos with some real examples, and also with some practical guidance there, where you actually work through examples, you have some question and answers, and you see the results in a few videos later as well. Last but not least, there is it's interesting that in most of these self-education material, James Markus mentioned, he did some very great work there. Buccaneer Scholar is also an idea from James Mark. It's a description, it's available as a book, but it's also a guidance based on principles and practices on how to self-educate yourself. On the synthesis side, you get the black box software testing course again. Oh, whoa, why that? Well, of course, it's not only a theoretical course, it's also a course held by the Association for Software Testing in America, which you can apply to if you're part of the organization, and teach others about it. Once you've taken the course, you directly get the offer, or not directly, you get maybe the offer to teach the next course as part of it. There are testing dojos and testing challenges which you can attend. We'll go into more detail later, so please stay a bit calm. Testing dojos and challenges basically are what consultants like Michael Bolton or James Bach or Matt Hoyser offered over the web. usually through some instant message client or some other thing. There's a reoccurring synthesis for self-education in software testing, which is called weekend testing. It's originated in India. Weekend testing is a get-together of testers during the weekend where they get a mission handed over. They can get into more details about testing and discuss later the outcomes. Last but not least, there is the Miyagi-Do School of Software Testing, which Matt Häuser formed, which is a practical school for testing, basically. I'll handle it in the end. Okay? Let's take a look at what we have. Of course, there are lots of books. These are not my books, but some of them maybe. There is I just provide some pointers here. Testing Computer Software by Campaigner is one of the most fundamental books considered regarding exploratory testing and software test and test design. Lee Copeland wrote it together in a practitioner's guide to software test design in a in basically the best way I found it so far. I bought some of these books which have 1,000 or more pages, which you can barely read from cover to cover because it's quite unhandleable. Lee Copeland achieved it to put together the content of most of these 1,000 pages books to a condensed format, which I was happy to read. It was a great pleasure to read it. Last but not least, standard book is Lessons Learned in Software Testing by Gartner, Buck, and Petticoat, which is also the underlying theme there for the context-driven school of software testing. Okay. Beyond that, the Rapid Software Testing course was developed by James Buck and Michael Bolton, and it's taught as a course in real. And I really wish I could attend either James or Michael's classes there, because I know that they are both great teachers. But beyond being taught as a course, as I said earlier, there are slides available online also on www.satisfies.com rst.pdf. The contents there include questions. What is testing? What is this thing we call testing? What shall we achieve? That are underlying idea from lessons learned in software testing. The testers are the headlights of a project. Without us, the project is basically just continuing to drive into the night, into the dark tunnel. The Rapid Software Testing course also teaches the heuristic test strategy model, which James Buck wrote. It includes heuristics, oracles, and how to prepare the tester's mind for the tester job, and more about it. Much more. These are roughly 160 slides if memory serves, and I know that these were currently just put into a more current version, so definitely worth reading. The Black Box Software Testing course is developed by Ken Kaner and James Buck. It's offered as an online course during the evenings, usually by the Association for Software Tests, but there are also the videos online available at testingeducation.org /BBST. It's a very long course. It covers back advocacy, how Kaner calls it, but also testing techniques like domain testing, scenario testing, function testing, risk-based testing, combination testing, specification-based testing, equivalence class partitioning, how to derive test cases, tests from not only the specification, but based on the functions, based on scenarios, on soap opera testing basically is one thing we tried out in a weekend testing session some weeks back. It's definitely worth watching. I think these are several hours of material there, roughly 60 videos or so, and it's definitely worth the time and effort. Okay, what is Buccaneer Scholaring? Buccaneer Scholaring is the last of the more theoretical consideration about self-education. It's basically a book by James Buck. He includes their learning heuristics. I think James Buck can think of mnemonics in no time. He coined second cows, which stands for ideas like scouting obsessively or problems which are not artificial but interesting. He includes their long leash heuristic, which says, okay, let your mind wander from time to time in order to bring together maybe two new ideas or to make up something that is confusing you. He also coined the obsess and forget heuristic to basically dive into something really, really deep and then start to forget things which you used to see as rules. And similarly, the procrastinate and push heuristic. These are just some of the underlying principles he writes up in the Secrets of a Buccaneer Scholar book. Okay, let's go to the more practical side there. We got testing challenges. Testing challenges are basically just we got here a product, we got here something, try to test this. Try to make up your mind how you would test this. These are practical exercises of your testing skills. James Buck wrote a nice blog some while ago, I think it was last year in 2009. He said, I have internet, I will test. And he says in there, okay, here's my Skype ID. If you want to have a challenge, and I have the time to give you one, contact me and I will provide you one. This is just one source where to get such a testing challenge. Michael Bolton has others, Matt Holzer has some. I think Eusebius Blind was also attending here from time to time. He has also some on his blog. One or two I also got on my blog some while ago. But okay, let's continue. Testing dojos. What are testing dojos? Testing dojos are similar to coding dojos. I don't know who knows here about coding dojos. Coding dojos are usually just get-together, a meeting where programmers get together and perform some simpler programming algorithm in front of the others, and the others learn immediately from them. So transporting the same idea to the testing is to put together testers in one room. You can also take your programmers if you wish, and put them into one room and have some testing done on that occasion. So you pick maybe an application from the internet, download it, and start to investigate it while others watch what you're doing. You can also do this in a paired environment where you say you got two in front of the others, and maybe switch them over time to some time boxes. So the underlying principles are that you have collaboration. There are some people in front of the others exercising their testing skills, showing what they know. Others see this and can adapt this, or maybe say, okay, I want to take this idea even further to my daily job. It's testing in a safe environment where you can basically say, if I make a problem here, if I oversee something, it's not hurting anyone. And it's what the Agile community calls the deliberate practice, where you deliberately sit down and practice your skills. On the content, as I said, you can do this in a single or pair testing setup. There are some missions which you can use to guide your testing as well. You can take this product and test it, or evaluate tools which you might incorporate into your daily testing while at work, like Session Tester maybe as a test tooling or some other notes-taking tools. And you can also use it to learn new approaches like using FCC cut widths or the SF depot test mnemonics and see if they apply for your situation. Okay, 2 more slides. Weekend testing. What is weekend testing? Testing is basically weekend testing is basically testing on the weekend. It's a community formed over the course of the last year, I think in August 2009, in Bangalore, India, and from then it spread out to the world. We created different chapters all over the world. So far we got one in Mumbai, Bangalore, of course, in Europe, in Australia and New Zealand, and I'm sure I missed at least 2. I think China, and doesn't matter. What happens during weekend testing? Testers get together on Skype online during the weekends, on the Saturday and Sunday, for roughly 2 hours. Sometimes it gets 3, depends on how interesting the discussions are. A typical session is that you have 1 hour of practical testing where everyone gets a mission provided, like we have got this application here now tested, and report any bugs you find in 1 hour to this place. After this first hour, you get 1 hour of discussion and exchange between all the attendees of this weekend testing session, where you basically get to know how others approach it, where others fell into traps and what happened. On the content, as I said, the same applies for weekend testing. So testing doors, you've got missions like test this particular product or evaluate some tools in order to see how are they useful for me, or also learn new approaches about testing which you might then incorporate into your weekly testing schedule. One interesting thing we noticed during weekend testing is that you have to watch out for traps. These traps are basically, testers put themselves into traps from time to time, like following up too much on a particular bug, which then occurs to be some other problem, or following more in the chat, which continues to run, but not doing any testing on the things which could happen. It's interesting to see that most of these traps are made up by the testers for themselves. One other thing, attending weekend testing doesn't take you much. You just need an internet connection, Skype. That's it, most of the time. Okay. Last slide, we got the Miyagi-Do School of Software Testing. It was founded by Matt Heuser, who basically got overwhelmed by questions for teach me how to test, or can you help me how to do this, and he got way too much questions in this direction. So he founded a school where he said, okay, if you're willing to follow up on this, then take this challenge. It's a non-commercial and zero-profit school, basically, institution. Its main purpose is to improve testing skill by practically applying it. So we got from time to time challenges, and we also got exchange all over the world. Currently we have inside the school, Matt Heuser, of course, I got black test, black belt there as well, and we also got Michael Larson there, Jerome Rosing, AJ, who co-founded weekend testing, and others. Okay. Yes, I think I need to say more about the belt system we got there. There are basically several belts, like in karate. You have students, and then several colored belt levels, black belt, yellow belt, brown belt, whatever. You can advance between the belts by taking on additional challenges and by starting to gain more practical experience in software testing, and by having it over the internet. Yeah. That's it, basically.
Thanks very much, Markus. Just like to remind anyone who has a question, if they just hit the Q&A tab, it's the 4th tab over on the top of the screen. I see someone's asking a question already. If you just click on this tab, and bring it to a screen where it says type a question for the presenter. If you just type your question in there and hit ask, the question will then be answered. Well, the first question here from Rob Lambert is, do you think social media, online communities and conferences are a valuable way of expanding your learning horizon?
Okay, let me try to answer this. Let me read this again. Do you think social media, online communities and conferences are a valuable way of expanding your learning horizon? Of course. Why do I think this? If I take a look back on what I presented, we got the Miyagi School of Software Testing, which is basically also some social media online community. Weekend testing is just the same. Software Testing Club is another source of this. Association for Software Testing, the Black Box Software Testing course is just another thing that's happening online. For the conference part, I'm not 100% sure, because I must admit that I so far attended, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4 conferences on my own. So I think yes, but I don't have enough background to make this more interesting, to give this more, yeah, okay.
No problem, Markus. We have another question here from Ziger van Hesse. You can probably read it there yourself.
Okay, yeah, let me read it myself. It helps me to get on the content. Great list, Markus, he says. I would like to add, first of all, attending testing conferences, of course. But attending testing conferences usually takes at least some money, or you have to get a place there to attend. So you have to present something. This is also, yeah, it will definitely add this. I just had to condense the whole content here into 25 minutes. Throughout some points. Second point from Ziger, having face-to-face discussions with other attendees, presenters at these conferences is, of course, the most practical thing you can get there. For some reason, there is the currently, I would call it hype for open space conferences is basically just what is all of this about. You get professional exchange there by all these attendees. Third point from Ziger, practice hands-on testing in a test lab like they run at EuroSTAR. Yes, I think so. I never did this on my own, I would say. I think the synthesis part is crucial. Basically, you never read a book and I never do testing. At least this holds for me. Most of the time I dive in, read a book, and I want to try out these ideas. I want to apply them. I want to see how how are they applying in the real world? What experience can I get from this? So practical hands-on testing in collaboration with the theoretical part is very, very crucial. Fourth, participate in discussion group. Yes, definitely. Mailing list help to get understanding. You can also raise a question there and answer others. Fifth, start blogging to reflect on your thinking and refine ideas. It's definitely something you have to do. I notice when I write something down and start to think about it in more details, I notice that I reflect maybe over the course of the last day and find out what was bothering me, what is crucial there. Writing it down, I would at least recommend to write some form of a personal journal there on your own. If it's not a blog, you should definitely write down something at the end of the day. So this is what I learned today. This helps you to reflect back on this. Yeah. Finally, Ziga asked, any thoughts on that? I answered this directly. Okay. Let me see this. Here's another question from Manish Modi, I hope I spelled it correctly. Question is, what test certifications you suggest for advanced level testing? I don't suggest any certification. Why? Basically, I don't hold a certification on my own. So the problem there is I don't know what they teach. This is why I can't suggest anything. I hope you understand this. And for advanced level testing, it is always good to take a deeper look into what others thought which would be worthwhile. So taking a look into the course materials of ISTQB or others is very, very reasonable, but you have to always ask yourself, does this apply to me and when and how? This would be my brief answer there. It pays to look into the material, but you shouldn't take everything for granted. You should compare it to other levels and see how does this apply, how does this apply, and so on. Okay? Let me go to the next question, which is from Eusebio Blindu. What is the main problem testing is facing currently, and can it be improved? The main problem testing is facing currently, I'm not 100% sure. I think the biggest problem still after decades is that we are in an industry where project managers don't understand what value testing is all about. No, I won't say this. Most of the time, most of the products I saw so far were tested to some extent, but under critical circumstances, the first thing considered was skip testing. And I think this is the biggest problem we are currently facing. I think it can be improved, to answer the second one. If we stop to illusionate ourselves. Illusionate means that once we start to deliver products which are untested to some extent, we always start to build up an illusion that this software will work even if we don't test anything. And over time, this fear, this illusion may be broken, and at the end of this illusion, there's always the crisis beginning, and this is usually the time where things even get worse. I hope this answered your question.
Great, Markus. I just had one quick question. I know this because I've been asked once or twice. Is how would somebody get involved with the weekend testers?
Involved in which extent, I would ask.
I suppose to participate, really.
Let me give an answer to both extensions there. Basically, if you want to get involved into weekend testing, it's quite easy. You open up weekendtesting.com, take a look into the forums and the next sessions. There should be given some times when these sessions will be held. For example, we got the 35th session of European weekend testing this Saturday, so tomorrow, at 3:30 p.m. UTC, which would be 3:30 would be now in 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours. You just simply take a look into the forums. The instructions are described there. Basically, it's just sending an email to europetesters@googlemail.com if memory serves, and stating your Skype ID. We need this in order to include you into the chat, and say I want to participate. For first timers, we got some information there, so don't matter. I will send you an answer there. Second thing I want to raise there is if you want to help us, we would really need some help. You may get in contact with either AJ or with myself, or write an email to chapters@weekendtesting.com. I think there's also a page set up on weekendtesting.com. And if you click on the chapters in the tab on the top, you reach it with instructions how to start your own chapter. If you write an email there, it definitely will get some attention.
Excellent, Markus. There was another question there from Rainer. I think I accidentally removed it from the list. Is that he was asking, are there any interesting podcasts available on software testing?
None that I would be that aware of. I know that James and John Bark recorded 2 podcasts on testing where they discussed some interesting things. Oh, I completely forgot. Matt Heuser also hosts, I think, each week, This Week in Software Testing, called abbreviated by Twist, on softwaretestpro.com, where he interviews basically some tester. It's very, very interesting to hear. But beyond that, I'm not that aware about software testing focus only podcasts.
Excellent. Just to remind, I suppose, we have on the EuroSTAR website, we have the webinar archive. So as I said, this webinar is being recorded, but every webinar we do at EuroSTAR is recorded for any tester to go in and pretty much listen to a webinar on demand at any time. It's essentially the slides and the audio of the presentation synced together. So that may be another option to people there. I think that's all the questions. Might give it another 20 seconds or so, Markus. But if you'd like to sum up the presentation or like anything to add, this would be time to do so.
Pardon, I'm just following up here on the question. Okay. Can you repeat, Kevin?
Oh, no, I was just saying that we might give it a couple of more seconds, maybe 30 seconds, to see if anybody else has any more questions.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to sum up the presentation, I suppose, at this point, that would be great. If there's anything you'd like to add.
Basically, last thing I would add is to basically to self-educate. I got this question from Eric Smith yesterday. He asked if it's a webinar on self-education, should you show up? I said, well, maybe not, but I showed up. So the best thing you can do in order to self-educate yourself in software testing is to keep yourself passionate and curious about testing. That's basically the key essence I would add here.
Excellent, Markus. Thanks for a brilliant webinar. I'd like just to remind everyone that Markus is speaking at this year's EuroSTAR if you want to find out more. Well, we also have a session on the weekend testers on the Wednesday from AJ.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Markus for today's webinar. A lot of great content there and lots of good questions at the end.